Well, now it is time to recognize our 2023 Distinguished Alumni Award recipient. The Distinguished Alumni Award recognizes former NHCC students who have demonstrated superior achievement of a personal, professional, or civic nature. Selection is based upon consideration of the following areas: service to their profession, service to their community, and service to their alma mater. Do we have any of our previous Distinguished Alumni Award recipients here this morning? I think I saw Jeanette. Joseph, could you please stand? So thank you very much for being here and for all that you do. To introduce our Distinguished Alumni Award recipient, please welcome to the stage a member of our North Hennepin Biology faculty, Paul Melcher.
Thank you. My wife said, "Are you going to stay on script today or do your usual thing?" And I said, "No, I'm going to stay on script." But before I do, I want to acknowledge a couple of people that I saw today. Everything I'm going to say about Robbyn, I know that my two fabulous colleagues, Craig Longtine and Tam Mans, Craig is the one in the sweater, by the way, and Tam is the one in the other sweater. They would say the same thing, and they were key parts to her education and everybody else's on this campus that comes through our program. Rolando, I know you think I put this suit and jacket on for you, but I actually only do this when I think Eldon Tessman might be in the crowd. Eldon, if you don't know, is a longtime community supporter of the college and one of the best potato farmers to ever grace Minnesota. You know, teaching is kind of like potato farming. You know, you plant the seed, Eldon, and then you throw a bunch of BS at it, right? Manure and right, and then at the end of the process, you harvest, right? And so Robbyn's like a potato. Okay, let me get serious. Good morning, everybody. It's my unique pleasure to introduce one of my favorite human beings under the age of 40 to you today. I met Robbyn Weaver roughly the spring semester of 2007. Actually, I remember Craig introducing her to me because she was in his Bio 2 class, I think, at an event at Hamlin that we were all at. She was a shy, sedate, meek young woman who we were eventually able to coax out of her demure shell and watch her blossom into an adequate student. That's an utter fabrication, of course, okay? Because at 18, her impeccable, goth-inspired haute couture only briefly veiled that wonderful combination of confidence and self-esteem and curiosity and a razor wit that people who know her will recognize. She was as snarky as they come, but not arrogant, right? Not arrogant, and with a very kind heart. But she did give us a lot of trouble. She really did, in a good way. Moreover, she was smart, though, and diligent and curious, and that whole mix attracted people to her like a magnet, and still does. Her energy made her exceptionally fun to teach, fun to learn from and with, and fun to be around, as I know her fellow alums from that era would attest. She earned her AS in biology from North Hennepin in 2008, and then we were lucky enough to keep her here, hold her captive for our relatively new baccalaureate program that we had started with Minnesota State Moorhead, and we now continue with Bemidji State. Was she in our first graduating class or second? Okay, all right. So, second. That's pretty good. It's pretty good, though. pretty good. I was lucky enough to convince Robbyn to work in our undergraduate research lab for a couple of years, and she was so dependable that I left her in charge of our project for 6 months while I was teaching abroad in 2009. She was only 21. I don't know what I was thinking, but it worked out really, really well. During those years, she caught the discovery bug in a big way, and she was the first student, to my knowledge, to win an extremely competitive summer research fellowship at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. And of course, she thrived there as well. After graduating from our BS program, a different kind of BS, Eldon, okay, a baccalaureate degree, with Moorhead State, she secured a slot back at Mayo in their PhD program in molecular biology and molecular genetics, and she earned that PhD in 2016. I was lucky enough to be able to go down and watch her defense. I drove down in my brand new pickup, and when I came out, somebody had run into the back end of it and put a huge dent in the back. So it was a great day. It's a great day for Robbyn. Robbyn was quickly snapped up by Cargill. She would have been a great professor, but she was snapped up by industry, and she's been there ever since. And she's now a senior molecular biologist working on things she can't tell us about without having us disappeared in the middle of the night. But I have it on good authority. We have a very good friend who is in upper management in Wayzata at Cargill, and she recently said to me, everybody here knows about Robbyn. And I'm like, well, geez, you could take that a couple of different ways. But what she meant was obvious, that Robbyn Weaver has a very bright future at that fine, great Minnesota institution. During all of this, Robbyn has stayed connected with us here at North Hennepin and Brooklyn Park. She's been a great resource for our science students in various ways, and I know wants to continue that. This is particularly true for young women who want to go into science and technology. She's a great advocate for them. And moreover, she's a great advocate for the often underappreciated opportunities that community college science programs and community colleges in general offer, especially this one. In her free time, she and her husband Jeremy are addicted to live music and owls, bird watching, and nature photography, not at the same time, typically. None of this surprises any of us here. She's a feather in our cap, a great big peacock plume. And we're very proud of her if we're allowed to be so. As her former prof, I'm delighted to watch her get this award today. I have to change my script a little bit now because I have to bring you up here in the interim. Yeah, right. She's now my old friend and colleague in a professional sense, and I just can't tell you how much this makes me happy to see. So congratulations, Dr. Robbyn Weaver. You want to come up and do the honors? Or do you want to let Eldon? No, I'm...
Right. Thank you so much, Paul, for that lovely, thorough introduction. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Robbyn Weaver. To be nominated and then named Distinguished Alumna of the Year is a complete privilege and an honor, and I'm thankful and humbled for the opportunity, excited about what this represents, and I graciously accept this award. Okay, it is great to be back here. I called this campus my home for nearly 5 years as an undergraduate, both as a North Hennepin Community College student and then again as a Moorhead, Minnesota State student when they shared that program here with these facilities, although some of these buildings and certainly many faces are new. And due to the devotion of a very enthusiastic and talented staff, I found my passion for science within these walls. And so I'm gonna take you back a little bit before Paul knew me. When I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew, like the majority of my friends and peers, that to be successful, I had to go to college. And that it was a measurement of success. And so it's really all some of us knew about our future for sure. And I'll emphasize now, with the benefit of hindsight and experience, and really drive this home, that the transition to a 4-year university right out of high school is merely one option for people, and it's not always practical, realistic, or even necessary for everybody. But to give you context, for me, I felt immense pressure. But beyond that vague directive, I didn't really have a specific calling. I had gravitated towards astronomy, pun intended, but I also really liked drawing and art. I was really good at it. And at the time, I was working at a counseling center as an admin, so I was also interested in psychology, but none of that really was anything I could picture a career for myself in. So despite this route I was mentally locked into, you must go to college, I didn't have the knowing of how to make that happen for me. And so during junior year, when my classmates were already applying to college, touring colleges, you're supposed to tour college, I was painfully unaware that I was a bit behind. And it wasn't until November, maybe December of my senior year where I finally caught on and started applying to local 4-year universities. I did have good grades. I'd known well enough to take the ACTs. I did okay, but given how late I was, coupled with the fact that I didn't really know how to sell myself, my personal statements were a little weak. I was wishy-washy. It's not surprising that I was either flat rejected or waitlisted from every institution I applied to. And I was devastated. I thought my life was over because I didn't get into real college. And what an unfortunate impression to have, built on misguided assumptions. And so while I begrudgingly applied to North Hennepin because I was, desperate to continue my education at any college, I expected to either get my transfer curriculum or just take a few courses and then head over to real college. I had no idea what was waiting for me here because North Hennepin and its faculty and its undergraduate research program and their coursework solidified my entry into science. And then after that, their continued guidance and this platform and mentorship, and I put in a little bit of work too, I became locked into a trajectory that inspired me and excited me and made me want more of it. And so not only did I stay at North Hennepin to complete my associate in biology degree, but as you heard, I stayed on to complete my bachelor's when they had their joint Moorhead degree. And I can pinpoint specific events that drove me towards science. And one was attending a seminar from a University of Minnesota professor very early in my time here, who came to the North Hennepin campus before I was a biology student. And she was presenting how her lab was using stem cells and therapeutic cloning to grow organs and tissue to replace failing ones for people. And that really spoke to me. And at the same time, I was also working at a bookstore. So right after that seminar, I started ordering books on cloning and genes and DNA, probably put myself on a list somewhere, and realized that I had two parts of me evolving. The part that saw that I really cared about people and wanted to help them, and the part that saw I could use science as the means to achieve those ends. And I was lucky to be on this campus, call it serendipity, because of many reasons, but one of them was their undergraduate research program. And that's something I hadn't really seen or heard of at a community college before. And so that permitted me to start getting hands-on lab bench experience. It helped start training my brain in that way to think like a scientist. And it permitted me to start presenting my work to diverse audiences and getting that experience. And another reason was simply my professors, who I was growing close to and starting to share a mutual respect with. Our class sizes were small, and I loved and appreciated that one-on-one interaction. So when the time came, both of those factors are what contributed greatly to my decision to stay on for the bachelor degree with Moorhead. And I think the entirety of this training environment, from the small class sizes, being one of the second groups to come through that Moorhead program, all of that helped me become more competitive. So when the time came and I applied to a undergraduate research fellowship at the Mayo Clinic, I was one of few who was accepted. And there I worked for 3 months in an aging lab working on human bone health and degeneration. I finally got my hands on some stem cells, and that experience solidified what I thought I knew, that this was the path I wanted. And so I resolved not only to go to graduate school, but decided that I really wanted to continue my education at the Mayo Clinic. So contribute to that body of science, to work in biomedical research, and really to take what I saw in that seminar early on and just do it myself. And I admittedly started out with a bit of naive enthusiasm that I would take stem cells and cure everything and save the world with them. I still kind of think you can do that, but both for myself, because I wanted to live forever like a vampire. I was pretty goth at the time, but also to help the people I cared about and to help humanity in general. Still in a way where I didn't have to talk to or interact with those people, but I'd make that sacrifice for you, because I really, really wanted to do meaningful work that made people's lives better. So fast forward, and I'm skipping this sort of on purpose, by the time I earned my doctorate from the Mayo Clinic, I had done 6 years of research using cell biology and mouse models to study cancer and aging. And by that time, I just had realized that particular avenue of academic research and that context, running a lab like that in that context, was not a good fit for me. And so I made the decision to leave that environment. And now instead, I find myself fulfilled by a company whose scientific endeavors promote sustainability and seek to nourish the world. And there at Cargill, I primarily work in strain engineering, which is taking little microbes like yeast or bacteria and tweaking them so they make things that they might not normally make that are important products that we can sell. And usually these bio-based fermentations are a more eco-friendlier way to make these important products. Maybe the conventional method uses harmful chemicals, or you have to harvest a precious resource. So I'm also involved in the alternative protein space, so think plant-based proteins or cultivated meat, and that just has great implications for food scarcity, for climate change. So while I'm not growing organs to replace them in people like I had set out to do, I'm still promoting health and wellness in a way that reaches people directly, indirectly, and is still stimulating and challenging for me. The theme here is leadership, and I had such wonderful examples throughout my education and my career. But, there's a but, while I worked with some incredible innovators and truly brilliant people, there are still, unfortunately, many people in the scientific community, really many communities, who don't embrace positive leadership qualities. Those who on paper might fit the definition of a leader, they're pushing their employees, their cohorts towards a common goal, but what if that goal is questionable? Or what if they lead with tactics such as, fear or intimidation? What if they're bullies? So good, positive leaders, as we've heard, combine skills and behaviors that are both interpersonal, empathy, compassion, respect, and organizational, being able to set goals, focusing on solutions and not just problems, delegating to help lift your cohorts up, give them some work to do and a chance to grow, to create an environment and culture of mutual respect that empowers their employees. And they do this in a way that's authentic and genuine, and in a way where you can cater your approach to each person so it's not a one-glove-fits-all style of leading. The people who know me well know I struggled greatly in my graduate studies, largely due to toxic leadership. And we say not all PIs, but there are certainly enough of them that my horror stories are echoed by students I've mentored, past and present coworkers, and my professors. And I'm talking about behaviors like bullying, like discrimination, being unreceptive to feedback or criticism, a my way or the highway authoritarian approach. And the harm caused by toxic leadership, the unintended consequences and that collateral damage, it's productive for some time, but ultimately it's not sustainable. And especially in science, it provides a breeding ground for misconduct and eventually even fabrication or falsification. And it causes high turnover, stress, burnout. And sadly, for every success story you might get, and you certainly do, these labs are very productive, you could have had so many more. And you've pushed people away from it, smart, brilliant people. And we know this, toxic leadership practices hold us back much more than positivity advances us. We know the outcomes of positive leadership help people to stay engaged, to be creative. It ultimately improves job performance. People want to stay with their organization. And certainly, there is a time and a place to be demanding, to require long hours and sleepless nights, but to perpetuate an environment where that is not only tolerated, but expected, to me is unacceptable, and we have to stop it. And I'm extremely privileged now to find myself at a company where positive leadership qualities are not only embraced, but are really ingrained in our culture. And my experiences, both in strong positive leadership here at North Hennepin and in my current position at Cargill, and the contrast of toxicity that I experienced during my graduate studies really showed me what type of leader I wanted to be and how I want to motivate people. And so let's be completely honest. Good leadership qualities don't always come naturally. It takes time to learn the skills, to know what the skills are, and to really practice and apply them. Those organizational skills, those internal skills. And in academia and other places, we often see very smart people elevated to a position where suddenly they're in charge of people. On paper, they're running a lab or an organization, but that does not automatically instill them with positive or effective leadership qualities. And PIs in particular, those running academic labs, are in positions of absolute power and really using their experience of how their PI taught them to move that forward for better or worse. And so these positions, like many positions, require somebody to manage people at all different levels of their development and of their careers, often without the prerequisite of any leadership or managerial training, and often functioning in a system without checks and balances. So I think that's a huge fundamental flaw in our academic research today, and a bit of something that we see ingrained in organizations, companies, businesses throughout. But it happens all over. And so the solution is we must put in the time to learn how to be positive leaders, starting early, starting before you're running a lab, before you're a manager. And we have to expect that people who are in positions of leadership to have those behaviors and hold toxic leaders accountable, dismantle the systems keeping them in power, and reinforce the training of our leaders. And it's not going to be easy because, for me, it took me some time to get here, and I strive to be a strong mentor and a positive leader. And it's why I lead intern projects. It's why I am available to new scientists in my department. But there's always room for personal growth and improvement. And I feel supported to make those changes and to learn and grow. And I hope that more organizations start to do that and take that seriously with their new people. And so now, my captive audience, I have some demands. My experience with leadership and what I'm describing here is certainly more applicable to a work environment, but it goes beyond that, as we've heard before with our other speakers. I urge you, whether you're in science, whether you're an electrician, whether you're a teacher, a clown, you can be a leader, or at minimum, you can use positive leadership skills in your everyday, day-to-day activities. And what I mean by that is even in a simple conversation with a bookstore employee, you can go beyond merely engaging with others and adopt positive leadership qualities in these day-to-day situations. That means being a good role model. It means being compassionate, being self-aware, being respectful, cheer your friends on, be receptive to feedback, treat people with respect, and show gratitude. And a second demand is keeping in mind that the bigger picture comes down to enabling the next generations and their future, and guiding them, but also helping them along so they have it better than we do. To not punch down, but to lift up. We've all suffered. Let's not make the next group suffer just because we have. Everyone is better when we're all better. And the final demand, which is more of a lofty plea, is that at the same time we need to be positive leaders, we all share a beautiful, fragile planet, and it's the only one we have. So taking care of ourselves and the next generation includes not only these societal relationships, leading, stability, guidance, but making and keeping our planet a healthy place that we can grow and thrive and be healthy. And truly, that is why I have been drawn to the fields I have in my career. Science is very near and dear to my heart and how I accomplish my goals, but it's fundamentally rooted in the desire to preserve our planet and its inhabitants, mostly birds, but especially people. And because really, what meaning is there without our connections? And so with that, thank you. Thank you for letting me take up your morning. Thank you for giving me your ears. To the other speakers who gave us their wonderful insight, to the Alumni Association and Foundation, for hosting the Bold Leadership Seminar. Thank you to the biology team for nominating me and your instrumental role in getting me here and beyond. Thanks to my family, my mom and dad, who are here, and my first attempt in cloning, my twin sister, and my dear supportive husband who's going to take me out to dinner later. Okay. And because I am used to giving entirely different types of presentations, it's hard for me to close without saying thank you. I'll take your questions, but if you have questions, you can find me after. So thank you so much.